On FML, we celebrate founders, musicians, and the people who help drive the success of founders and musicians. A big focus of ours is, well, quite frankly, community. In our minds, community, or the lack of it, is at the center of most of the mental health issues. You'll notice we keep bringing it up. It is also core to our mission for the Founders Music Lab. Key figures that help drive community building are our local media personalities, and you'll notice we have featured a fair number. Today we have one of the region's greatest community boosters and a voice you can't help but recognize, Neil Aitcheson. Neil's goal in any interaction is to get you smiling. His heart is huge, and his impact is even bigger. And when you hear his story, you'll easily understand how he got that way. You will also see a common thread regarding those who find their lives. Neil's journey sheds a light on a path that is based on true authenticity. Neil had us in tears, the good kind. We have no doubt you will enjoy this episode as much as we enjoyed making it. So grab an Eco coffee, sit back, and enjoy Neil's ride. Welcome to the Founders Music Lab, the home of the FML, where we talk basically to amazing people about how they found their lives, their purpose, and their road to happiness. I'm your founder guy, Bill Waters, and this is the coffee guy, Ed Denier.
Hello, hello.
Hello, we're doing it opposite this way.
Ooh,
yes.
I'm confused already.
Yeah, I usually go to Steve first. And then here's our music guy, Steve.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah, I opened it up for you to have a little more time to talk.
Appreciate
now.
it.
Yeah, I knew I'd get lots out of you. All right, so today's guest is someone whose voice, his presence, and his generosity have been woven into the fabric of the Waterloo region for decades. Neil Aitcheson built his reputation as one of the region's most recognizable radio personalities, but his impact reaches far beyond the airwaves. He has been at the center of countless charity events, community initiatives, and local celebrations, always showing up with humor, heart, and a genuine commitment to bringing people together. Neil is also the cornerstone of Drayton Entertainment, where his long-standing involvement has helped strengthen one of Canada's most successful theatre organizations. His work across media, performance, and community engagement makes him a perfect fit for this podcast and broadcast, a place where founders, musicians, and creators come to share how they build, collaborate, and give back. So with that, I'd like to welcome Neil Aitcheson to our little coffee clutch. Thanks for joining us, Neil.
Pleasure. Thank you. I was wondering if supper was going to be served.
I thought you were bringing it.
No,
Well, we have a jar of ants.
We have a jar of ants. Yeah.
Deep fried ants, just for you.
we'll carry on.
Well, Alan said, be sure not to bring cookies. Somebody steals them. Okay. So that was the only scripted part.
Oh,
everything else is going to be freewheeling from this point on. And we'll start off with Ed. Ed starts with the question, and we'll take it from there.
So welcome. My approach to this is I run a coffee company, and I'm primarily focused around what I do. But I'm always very curious about other people's lives, and more so is what's a day in the life look like for you, whether it was, and it doesn't have to be yesterday, it could be since retirement or since job change or since you left airwaves or any particular day in the life of Neil Aitcheson.
Aitchison.
Aitcheson.
The Scottish way, yeah.
Pardonnez-moi.
Aitchison.
That was the Colombian accent coming out.
English. Well, I don't know. First of all, I think this is a very civilized way to sit and visit with people. I like this idea. And the notion of the smell of coffee. I love the smell of coffee, even though I don't drink it. but nothing complements bacon and eggs and toast on a Sunday better than
You've
a
been
cup
conditioned.
of coffee.
Yes,
And,
it's the coffee
everybody
conspiracy.
in my family drinks it, but and I'm one of five. I'm the middle of five, and I have an older sister, and she and I don't drink coffee. And people ask why, and I just say, "Oh, I'm a Mormon."
To be fair, some people just don't need coffee. I think you got enough energy.
And that's what I keep saying. If I wake up like this,
Your poor wife.
I wake up and I say, "Good morning." And half an hour later, when she gets a cup of coffee in her, she'll say, "Good morning." So a day in the life of me is, well, it's interesting. And you mentioned that I retired. I haven't completely retired, that's for sure. I have offered to. In fact, I went into my superior the other month and I said to him, "Listen, I'm 78 now. I don't want to be a burden around here, and I should maybe do a fade and get out of the place." And he said, "Absolutely not." I said, "Why?" And he said, "We're going to keep a desk here, a computer, a phone, and office because we still need you," which is delightful.
Yeah,
It's
that's
nice
good
to
to
hear.
hear.
And I talked to a fellow this morning. I was at a Probus meeting at the Concordia Club, 150 retired men. And one of them came up to me. It was Daniel Fry. He used to own the Swiss Castle Inn
Oh, wow.
in Kitchener, and a great guy. And I used to sell him advertising years and years ago. And I said, "What are you doing now, Dan?" He said, "Nothing. And I'm bored." He's got a 100-acre farm, and he goes out on his little tractor and fritzes around. But he said, "You're very lucky to have some place to get up and go to." Mm-hmm. And I am. Mm-hmm. And between Malua Blamey Construction, which is now 17 years, I've been there, pushing 18, and Drayton Entertainment, which I helped found 35 years ago. Alex Moustakis and I were acquainted through Gilbert and Sullivan and KW Musical Productions, and we performed together on stage, and I did something silly, and he'd say, "Where'd you get that? Where'd you get that move?" Because Alan Lund was our director, and he
Lund.
He said, "Did Alan give you that?" And I said, "No, I just did it." He said, "Well, that was funny." I said, "Okay." So then, when he went away to study in England after he satisfied his father by getting his business degree at Laurier, his father's a Greek immigrant, and said, "You're going to get a job, you're going to get education, you're not going to be a stupid actor." And so he did that for his dad. And then he went to England to study his master's in theater arts administration. And he and I corresponded the old-fashioned way of pen and paper.
Wow.
And he said, "When I come home, after a couple of years in England, I'd like to produce and perform and direct and have our own little space." And so then he asked, "Have you ever heard of something called Drayton?" He didn't know where or what it was, but he heard there was a theater there, an old 1902 opera house that was sitting like a time capsule. And the community spent a couple of $100,000 to save it from the wrecker's ball. And it was used for 1 or 2 weeks a year by the local players. And I said, "Yeah, I know all those people. We all went to the same high school together in Palmerston."
Palmerston.
And if you're
You
a
have
local,
to say it right.
if you're a local, you say Palmerston.
Palmerston.
They drink at the Palmer Hotel, but that's just now. I said since 1968, as though people are now all saying Palmerston because it's a little more sophisticated.
Oh, hoity now.
Yeah. Anyway, we went. I took him up there one night to a town council meeting and introduced him to the council. And I said, "This guy's got an idea to put your little village on the map. Give him the theater, and we'll take care of the inside. You take care of the outside." And they said, and wandered around the circle, and one old farmer was sitting there with a red face and pretty sober looking, and we thought he was going to poo-poo this, and his name was Bruce Sheik. And Bruce said, my grandfather's name is on the plaque outside who helped build this place, and we spend a bunch of money every year for baseball, hockey, and soccer. I think we should put some money into the arts.
Good man.
Wow.
And he pulled out his checkbook and wrote a check for $200 and then expected everybody around the table to do the same. And they did. And that was the beginning of Drayton Entertainment.
Wow.
And that's,
we talk about community, and one of the big reasons we do this podcast is we need to bring back community.
no kidding.
Yes, and we're ultimately we want to build a facility. We want to do something on the founders and music side of things.
Wonderful. The reeve of the day was John Green, and John said to me, "This looks like a good idea." He said, "We'll go with it if you agree to come and sit on the board." Because he said, "We know you, we don't know him." And so I'm a founding board member, and we started. And back then I was the general sales manager of 2 radio stations. And
Good street cred.
CKKW and CFCA FM.
Yeah.
And we promised to be his sponsor. But instead of giving him money, we gave him airtime.
Yeah.
And back then it was 230 minutes a day you could sell in advertising. That was the limit. And if anything unsold was automatically plugged in as Drayton. And we gave him a ton of airtime. And then I told the announcers, you're not going to do a commercial for this until you go and see what they can do. Otherwise, you're just reading a script. And radio, properly done, is the best word-of-mouth advertising in the world. Mm-hmm. Word of mouth is still the best, but properly done radio is word of mouth as well, and it's reaching thousands instead of one. And so Fred Merritt was the voice that I plugged into
Fred
this,
Merritt.
Big Fred with his dulcet tones. And
Ed doesn't know what Fred, but
we
grew up with Fred.
He raved about it. And he went on the air, and it was really believable.
Yeah.
He said, you have to get up to Drayton. It's only a 30-minute drive from here. And the first year we did 3 shows, 3 weeks each, 8 shows a week. And the first show was called Vaudeville. And Alan Lund wrote it and directed it. And he pulled all kinds of people who worked for him in Charlottetown, including Alex and the Mantini sisters and David Rogers and all these people who were kids who worked in Charlottetown together. And they did the incredible show. And sales were fantastic. And the reaction, back then we had critics, too, who wrote in the papers.
Right, yeah.
Who said, wow, this was really something. And then that was the snowball was rolling down the hill, and it was quite amazing. The next 2 seasons, years 2 and 3, sold out the entire season before we opened. Because people were obviously hungry for live entertainment. Mm-hmm. And
what
the budget
year was this?
35 years ago, 1981
years ago.
or 91, whatever that is.
91, yeah.
91. And now, the budget the first year was $99,000, and there was 2 employees, Alex and a local lady who was our clerk and our treasurer and our box office lady, and Jean Campbell. She sewed costumes as well.
A janitor.
And now the budget is somewhere near $15 million.
Yeah.
7 theaters later. Last year we did over 250,000 bums in seats. That's 500,000 cheeks. And
yeah.
And we still don't take government funding for operations. We're the only theater company in Canada that's been completely self-supporting, selling our advertising, selling our memberships, selling our tickets.
Is it a nonprofit?
Charitable not-for-profit.
Charitable not-for-profit, yeah.
And so now we have 40, 50 people in the office, and in the high season we have 600 people on the payroll.
Yeah.
Actors, musicians, set designers, painters, costumes.
That's incredible.
And so Grand Bend and Penetang and Drayton will kind of run seasonally, and then St. Jacobs and Cambridge will run year-round. And my phone.
Was that your phone? I thought it was
Sound
your
like a stapler.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a quick synopsis of that experience, and I'm still going with them. And I've been on stage maybe 30, 35 times. And my claim to fame is that I've never auditioned.
Nice.
It's always been...
You just showed up in a red RCMP outfit.
They just call, and it's generally for a loud guy with a hat.
Well,
There's only one.
if you ever need a really good cape to go with that, you just let me know.
Okay. Anyway, I don't get to kiss the girl, the lead role, but I do get a lot of laughs.
You do.
And that's my
Well, you're also the
happy
voice
spot.
when the pre-performance telling
yes.
everybody to shut up and turn off their phones.
And buy ice cream.
And buy ice cream.
Smooth and delicious premium ice cream.
There it
Yeah.
is.
Yummy.
There it is.
Anyway, I have been talked out of retirement again by the theater. So this next summer I'll be doing another stand-in for the Mountie. The Mountie will be back. This will be the 7th time. We did Canadian Looney, Canadian Toonie. We did Sorry, I'm Canadian. Sorry, I'm Canadian too. And TOO or TW, whatever you. And we did Canadian Legends. We did Canada 151 a year after our sesquicentennial.
As you would.
We said, better late than sorry. And now this one's called Sorry, I'm Not Sorry. I'm Canadian.
Hey.
And the Mountie will be back. I declined it when he originally offered it because it was a summer gig.
Oh, yeah.
And my wife threatened to put up for sale sign on our cottage
Right.
if I took another summer. So I said, can't we do it in the spring, or can we do it in the fall or winter? And he said, no, it's got to be summer because it's high tourist season. And it's Canadiana, and that's very big right now. So I declined, and he went around me. He phoned my wife.
Yeah, see, he knows. Yeah. And you probably said, I decline.
So anyway, she negotiated, and instead of 8 shows a week, it's 7.
Okay. And you
And
get one day off?
I get Sunday and Monday off. So on Saturday, I can head to the cottage after the show, and I don't have to be back till Tuesday noon for the matinee. And
How long's it running?
12 weeks. Wow. June 2. It opens June 2, and it goes to August 22.
Which
In the Schoolhouse Theater.
Schoolhouse here.
in the new
St.
Hildebrand.
Jacobs.
Yeah.
couldn't they go
So it'll be
closer?
nice, I
Couldn't they
can-
do the one closer to the your cottage?
Well, we don't have one closer to my cottage.
Okay.
Penetang's
Oh,
a
you're
lot
up there.
further. I'm
Okay.
in Port Elgin. So I can sleep in my own bed here in Waterloo and do the show. And I have a daughter who lives in St. Jacobs. So on the 2 days when there's a double, I can go up to her place in between and crash in her lazy boy and just hang out. So it's fun. I have lots of fun. And I figure, well, what the heck, maybe one more kick at the... I hope we're not going to the well too often. But there are a lot of people showing interest, and people have been asking for a long time, when is the Mountie coming back?
Yep.
So
Well, and there's
I've
all
had-
too often, like there's so many shows that I want to see that I can't see because either it's playing way out there or we're away, or
Yeah.
and then I have to wait like 2 or 3 years later for it to come back again.
well, we've repeated some things in every show, but every year, every time we've done it, we try and get some new stuff too. And he and I write them. We get a jar of something to sip on, and we sit down and if
You
we
should try some ants.
if we laugh, it goes in.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, perfect.
And
Was it you and Alex, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
and so I'm also part of the creative side of this.
Yeah.
And after we wrote 5 or 6, it was tougher. I needed some help. So I phoned my friend Dave Broadfoot.
Oh, really?
Who is a Canadian
Broadcast
icon.
legend, an icon for sure.
And he started Spring Thaw. He started the Royal Canadian Air Force.
Yeah.
And he was a Mountie himself. He toured Canada for years as Sergeant Renfrew or something. I forget what he called himself. But he's an amazing Canadian
Yeah.
performer. And he proved you didn't have to go to the States to earn a really good living.
Yeah, he did well.
And
He was
he-
with CBC for the longest time.
Yeah, he did the Royal Canadian Air Force.
Yeah, right.
And that was CBC, and he had some delightful stories. I love the guy, and we clicked. We had a kind of a chemistry right away, so I phoned him, and he was now retired, and he's on the phone talking to me, and, oh, he says, I'd love to. And you could hear his wife in the background, Dave, you're not going back on stage. And he said, no, I'm just writing. Oh, okay, she said. So then he'd phone me.
So then Alex called his wife.
Then he'd phone me at the office, and he said, I got a good one. He'd repeat a story. And I'd say, oh, that's fabulous. Can you fax that to me? That was before email. And he says, I don't have a fax. If I fax, I have to go down to the dry cleaner at the corner. What about a handwritten letter? I said, oh, that'll be fine. So as it turns out, I'm quite happy. I have a collection of beautiful handwritten letters from Dave Broadfoot.
Wow.
That's
It's a book.
He's performed for the Queen,
Oh, yeah.
prime ministers, presidents, and they invited him to the States, and he'd go down and become his Mountie character, but he always came home. He lived in Toronto, and my wife and I were very honored to be invited to his funeral. It was an invitation-only thing at Mount Pleasant Cemetery in Toronto, and we arrived at this beautiful facility, and all the Order of Canada pins in the room, and us. And like all these famous Canadians and broadcasters, it was really quite something. And there was wine and cheese and stand-up and visiting. And then we moved to the next room where they had chairs, beautiful chairs for us to sit down. It was 100 people. And they had TV screens around with clips of some of his old shows and some of his broadcasts. And then Don Ferguson of the Air Force
Don Ferguson.
he was the host.
He was he on Hee Haw?
No, he was on the Air Force.
He was on the Air Force. He was on other stuff.
And this hour has 7, maybe one of those.
Yeah.
Anyway,
okay.
he's a renowned Canadian performer. He started off, he said, now, as our late friend Dave used to say, if you don't attend your friend's funeral, they won't come to yours. And that's how it started. And it was a laugh fest.
Oh, I'm sure it would be.
And all his friends who were in the industry got up to tell stories. And
Oh, my God.
anyway, I phoned him about this show we were going to do, and he wrote me fantastic stuff.
Oh, no
and I was
kidding.
saying, okay, we're going to start in the East Coast. Sorry, I'm Canadian, and we're going to work our way across Canada, in the West Coast. I mean, we started in BC, and we did Yukon and Nunavut, and then we did Alberta and Saskatchewan, Winnipeg, all the Manitoba, and we did featured music from people. So Brian Adams performed when we were in BC, and I would have some BC stories. And Nanaimo, home of those beautiful little bars, and boom, we'd go into a song when Nunavut, and I went into a diner in Nunavut, and I said, "What's the daily special here?" And she said, "Caribou tongue sandwich." Oh, I said, I couldn't eat anything that came out of an animal's mouth. She said, "Well, what do you want?" Then I said, "Give me a fried egg." And that's the kind of humor and I loved his head. And he had stories about every province and little towns because he'd performed in them.
Right.
High Level, Alberta. I was in High Level. I said, that's the home base of the first farmers in history to grow frozen vegetables. And we had Saskatchewan music, Stompin' Tom's stuff. And then we'd get to Alberta, and it was cowboy country music. Who can ever forget that great hit? I'm so lonesome without you, it's like you're still here. Or it's hard to kiss the lips at night that chewed your arse out all day long. And then we'd play country music. I would dress different. Every time I'd come out, I was a farmer. I was a cowboy. When I got to Winnipeg, I was in a parka with big mitts. And I said, Winnipeg. Ooh, I said, Manitoba. The only province where the politicians keep their hands in their own pockets. And then we'd do Burton Cummings music.
Oh, of course.
And we get to Ontario, and we had all these little towns in Ontario. I could do bits on each one, and then Gordon Lightfoot music and other Ontarian performers. And when we get to Quebec, I do some broken French and Jeanne d'Arc. That means there's no light in the men's room. And so then we'd have Celine Dion and Leonard Cohen. And you could just feel the East Coast was coming. And you knew there was going to be some fiddling and stepping. And there was. And some Newfie and Nova Scotia material. I had stuff on every town and city that I could think of. Kingston, home of the Stuarts. That's where Sir John A. Macdonald proclaimed Confederation. And when he regained consciousness, he apologized. That's one of Dave's old lines. When he regained consciousness, not far from Kingston is the town of Gananoque. And a U.S. couple drove up over the border and turned onto the Thousand Islands Parkway, and they saw the sign Gananoque. So they went into the local donut shop and said, "What's the correct way to pronounce the name of this place?" And the lady behind the counter said, "Tim Hortons." See, it's all Canadian.
Oh my God! So you're doing another one. Oh, sorry, I don't.
No, I was just
don't keep going.
Newfoundland was a cousin Lucille. She said she was a spinster all her life. She said, "When I die, I want 6 female pallbearers." Why? Because she said, if the men weren't willing to take me out when I'm living, they're sure as hell not taking me out when I'm dead.
Oh, God.
And Nova Scotia was the birthplace of Abram Gessner, the man who invented kerosene and the kerosene lamp, a lamp which went on to become a symbol of Canadian manhood. It's not very bright, turned down regularly, and when needed most, goes out. And so that's the kind of stuff that I fed off and built on.
So you're writing this for next year. You're going to have
Alex.
Hold on. That's just a day in the life.
Yeah, that's just a day in the life. I know.
I'm sorry. I rambled.
No. That's the beauty of these podcasts.
The question's never supposed to be a simple answer. It's an opening to talk about whatever you want.
Okay, well then that's theater.
It's amazing.
Theater.
And I've had lots of fun over all these years. And
How did you get into, what were you like as a 5-year-old?
I was a little bugger.
Yeah.
I was the middle of 5 kids, the only redhead in the family. And I loved stories and nonsense. And my dad was my hero.
Okay.
And he made the mistake of telling me some of the stories of his youth. And he went on to become a very successful and renowned and revered businessman in our community. He topped the polls every year he ran for council. He always just said it was alphabetical order. That's what they tick off.
Aitchison.
But he was a class guy, but he told me how he would get in trouble in school and back, and the teacher would give you the strap. The teacher would say something like, "Now, boys," he said, "this is going to hurt me more than it does you." And my dad would say, "Well, go easier on yourself, sir."
That's what I was supposed to say to my dad.
And he had a very dry sense of humor. I'd go home on the weekend from college, and I'd say, "Well, what's new?" And he'd say, "Oh, Mrs. Wilkin died." I said, "She didn't." Well, he said, "If she didn't, Bob Hardy played a dirty trick and buried her on Thursday." And my mother was the oldest of 10 Ziegler kids, so she went from Z to A in her name.
Oh, wow.
And my mother was very artistic. She painted beautifully. She loved good music. And when we were all grown up, she was the best cook in the world. Being 10, the oldest of 10, she raised half her siblings and learned how to do it all on the farm.
Yeah, she got a lot of practice.
And her first children were twins. And when I came along 3 years later, she said, "Such a breeze to have just one."
Let's pop
and
out a couple more.
by then, too, they moved from an apartment into a house when I was born. And they moved out of that house.
Where was the
when I
hometown?
was married. Harriston.
That was Harriston. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I lived in that house. That was we had a great, and I thought that was a big, beautiful home.
Yeah.
It used to be a hotel that sat beside the CNR station, and they moved it across the street to add some extra wealth or worth to it, and half of it fell off. So they just turned it into a house. And it had 2 staircases, and it was a great old home.
That's
and I
awesome.
loved growing up in that house. And when I think of it today, when you go back, it's a pretty crummy little place. But
It's okay.
it
Nothing,
was,
nothing like the house you grew up in.
and my dad had a Purina feed business and an egg grading station on the main street. But he was the police commissioner. He was the chairman of the school board. He was the secretary of
So
the
you
fair
come by it
board.
naturally.
He emceed and spoke at everybody's weddings and sang. He sang at everybody's wedding and funeral.
Whether he was asked or not.
Yeah.
No, he was invited, and he was a really good guy. He always made sure, he told us to live every day like it's your last, and one of these days you'll be right. But then he would also say, if you were going to go tomorrow, would the person who reads your eulogy say what you want them to? And so if not, you better alter who you are, because you never know when it's going to be time. And he encouraged us to get involved in your community and be a participant in life. And as it turned out, he lived every day full, and he retired in June and died in August
Oh, wow.
at
Well,
age 67.
Oh, no.
So it was a pitiful short retirement.
Yeah.
But he really did live a full life, and that's the way he would like to have gone. But it was a terrible kick for all of us
No doubt.
to lose the patriarch. And my mom couldn't hack living alone in spite of all her attempts. 10 years of widowhood, and my younger brother invited her to come and live with them in Toronto.
Oof, that's a big change.
Moved from Harriston to Toronto. He's a United Church minister, and he said, you can bring your bedroom and your living room and your dishes. And then we got to clear the house up. She had a house and a vacant lot, so we sold all that. And she said, I have to. And he talked with us, the siblings. We're going to broach the subject at Christmas. So, Mom, what do you think? Would you like to go and live with us in Toronto? And it took her about 30 seconds. She said yes. And she just came back to life. She's living in a house with him and his wife and 3 sons. And she was baking again, and people were eating all her cakes. And
She found purpose again.
yep, and the people at the church loved her. They treated her like the Queen Mother. And she drove in Toronto till she was 90.
It's amazing.
People say, are you driving in Toronto? She said, you can't get in an accident. So it's so slow, it's all bumper to bumper. And at 90, she said, I don't think you kids want me driving anymore. So she gave her car to his sons, who were in university by then.
Oh, my goodness. That's
And she
great.
lived to 100 and a half. People picked
It wasn't
her
that
up.
long ago, was it? That she passed?
2018.
2018. I remember that. Yeah.
And she was born in 1918. And I said to her at our final Christmas, I said, Dad's been gone for 33 years now. She said, do you think he'll still recognize me?
Oh, man.
And they always encouraged me to be who I was.
Yeah.
And I had an aunt, my dad's 2 youngest sisters. They were Aunt Mamie and Aunt Josie. And they loved me imitating the neighbors or talking like my Dutch uncle or some. And I imitated walks, and I did shtick and told stories
So you
around
always had an audience.
the table. And I thrive on an audience. So, and when I went to high school, that was brutal. Because if you missed 2 subjects, you missed your year. And I always missed math and science because I refused to learn all those stupid formulas that I knew I would never, ever use.
Yeah.
And I was right.
Yeah.
But
I got to edit that out of the podcast. you
I'm
guys.
glad my kids are out of school.
anyway, they don't do that now. They don't hold you back. They just
They let you go.
move you along and give you another credit on
And a
something
ribbon.
else.
And yeah.
So I spent many, many years in high school. And I didn't quite get my grade 12 because I thought, oh, geez, I'm not going back to another summer school, so I'm out of here. And by then, it was 1967 I was released, and two buddies and I bought a car from an old lady in Harrison, a 1950 Ford. And this was 1967. It was 17 years old. It had 17,000 miles on it.
Oh, jeez.
It was mint.
Driven to church every weekend.
That's right. And it was a navy blue with the sun visor.
Oh, beautiful.
8-cylinder, 3 on the tree. White
interior.
walls. And, beautiful. Beige interior.
Beige interior. Beautiful.
And we said we're going to see Canada. That was our centennial project. Me and two buddies. And we drove across Canada. We stayed at any relatives we could find and cheap motels. And we went right to Victoria, and we toured the island. We toured BC, and we came home then through the States to see what we could see in Montana and Wyoming and all those, Washington. And then we headed back up into Ontario, and we drove then to Montreal to attend Expo 67.
Oh, jeez.
That was a spectacular World's Fair.
I was there.
In Montreal.
Yep, I was there. My uncle
Were you
was
a kid?
I definitely was. My uncle was the lead. He was the Red Knight for the Golden Centenaires.
Okay.
The flying, like the snowbirds.
Yes.
Yeah. So we went to see him there at the. Anyways.
Well, that was incredible, and we went twice. We liked it so much.
Yeah.
And we paid $200 for that car. We put 7,000 miles on it.
Jeez.
And my father gave us a Shell card that we could use for gas. And then he said, when you get home, then we'll break it up 3 ways and you can pay it off. And I think it was $168 we paid for all the gas for all that.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
back then. It was 50s, 40s. I forget, 36 cents a gallon.
A gallon. Yeah.
And we just had a ball. And I learned too that Expo, those pavilions where people were lined around and around and around them, and the lineups to get in them were incredible. So I learned too that if you get up to the exit and walk backwards, it looked like people were passing us. And we got in that way quicker. And we could see the pavilions first in reverse. And one time we even found a guy in a wheelchair, and we put 4 of us on, one on each corner, and we picked him up, and we went right up to the front. Make way, make way, make way. And they moved and let us through with him to carry him up the steps into the... He said, I've already been here. We said, shut up for a minute. Just be quiet for a minute. We got him, and we set him down, and we carried on.
Somebody get me down.
Help!
But it was all good, harmless stuff.
Oh yeah. No,
Anyway.
nobody died.
The first performance I ever made was in grade 5. We had the Junior Red Cross Committee, and I was 10, and our teacher was Clara Bell. And back then that was funny because Howdy Doody had a clown named Clara Bell, and on the TV show. Anyway, somehow she got up to sing a song, and I sang one of my dad's old songs. My dad, our first 3 cars didn't have radio. He sang everywhere we went.
Oh, nice.
And we'd go to the beach for a day, and he'd sing all the way home, all his old campfire army songs, gospel stuff, anything and everything. And we learned all those songs.
And you'd all sing them.
And we called them Dad's car songs.
Oh, wow.
And so one that she said, have you got a little song to sing? I said, I can sing a song. And so I sang The Old Apple Tree in the Orchard, which is probably not politically correct anymore now. Anyway, it was The Old Apple Tree in the Orchard lives in my memory. It reminds me of my pappy, who was handsome, young, and happy when he planted that old apple tree. Now one night pappy took Widow Norton out on a jamboree, and he brought her home at sunup. Brother Norton raised his gun up, and he chased pappy up in the tree. Now the neighbors came after my pappy. Up in the tree was he. So they got a rope and strung him, and by the neck they hung him to a branch of that old apple tree. Say goodbye, Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Say goodbye.
Say goodbye.
Say goodbye to the old apple tree. If my pappy had a knowed it, he never would have growed it because he died in that old apple tree. Say goodbye.
Say goodbye.
Say goodbye.
Say goodbye.
Say goodbye to the old apple tree. They cut the tree down for a casket, put the apples in a basket, and so Pappy went with the tree. And I took my bow and sat down. She was in the back.
Oh, my God.
So he was a very great influence in our lives,
Yeah, obviously,
all of us.
yeah.
And it's interesting, the five of us, we all make our living
You've got a United minister.
speaking.
Yeah. So you've got a United minister.
My older brother and sister were twins.
Yeah.
And he was a bank. He sold for he did a little stint in the Royal Bank, and then he went in to sell for Bell, and he handled accounts like the Maple Leaf Gardens, the Toronto Stock Exchange.
Oh, jeez.
He talked them into a phone way back when that had a little TV screen on it, and that when you dial up the stock exchange, it would show the ticker tape rolling, and they called it the Freddie phone. His name was Fred. And so he was and then when he got tired of working in Toronto, he went to Orangeville and he sold real estate for a living. He was very, very good at it. He'd play golf 200 times a year, and he'd be selling a home, smoking a cigar and putting, and just a minute, he'd take a phone call and sell a house. And he was very good at what he did. His twin sister was a school teacher. My little brother was a minister. And then my baby sister, who we adopted, she was my cousin at 9 years of age. Her mother and dad both died, and my parents adopted her.
Wow.
And she became the clerk treasurer for the township, and she ran all the council meetings and did all the negotiations for. It was interesting how we all. And my dad, when he sold the Purina feed business in the A grading station, he became the clerk treasurer of the township. And he waited 2 more years before he retired because my sister Fran was coming home from Laurier, and she having
a job.
She was having a family, and so he gave her another year for the mat leave because she was ready to take his job, and they switched it over from paper and pen to computers, and it was a good time for him to get out. He said,
"Yeah, I don't want to learn these new fangled."
So it was. That's kind of a wag, and I'm lucky to have a great family time, and my mom being the oldest of 10. I'm the second of 36 grandchildren.
Jeez.
And now we have kids who have kids.
Yeah.
So we have to rent the Legion Hall for our family Christmas. And they took 2 or 3 big turkeys and 2 big pots of potatoes and turnips and dressing, and we have a fabulous feast.
My wife's family used to do that. Family of 10.
Yeah.
With kids and grandkids, and we'd get the Knights of Columbus.
Yes.
In Waterloo there. And
That's
all
right.
of the family would show up, and the little kids would be running around underneath this big cloud of smoke.
Oh.
Because they all smoked in the...
Yeah. I remember those days. And I used to play Santa Claus.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
of course, I had to do that until I finally said, I'm not doing it anymore because it was too much. I was getting lazy.
You need a succession plan.
I did Santa Claus for CTV for Romper Room for 14 years on the
With Betty?
network with Betty and what's the other one? What's her name?
I watched that. I watched Romper
On Romper Room?
Did you?
I was born in 71, so I was a child in the 70s.
That's the year I was married. That's when I was doing it. And,
Yeah.
And in fact, I fooled my own kids, who are 4 years apart, and I played Santa Claus, and we had to do it in July. So we had to convince the kids to wear your winter sweaters, and we'll put the tree up and everything at the studio. And because Santa can't come at winter; he's far too busy at Christmas time. We're going to do this, but this is going to be on the TV at Christmas time, and you're going to. So you have to. The kids all bought whatever I was selling, and my own kids. Big Al and I would be there. We did all the parades, the Santa Claus parades all around it. Big Al would ride at the front on a big convertible with cattle horns and his cowboy outfit on.
Yeah.
I was at the back in the sleigh. And
Were you at the radio station at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always drove Big Al because he liked to stop at the Legion and have a pint.
Yes.
So, and we had a lot of fun over the years.
I bet.
Anyway, my daughter, she started getting wise.
Yeah.
And she said, she's 4 years older than her little brother, and he was buying everything, and she was starting to say, Santa Claus has a watch just like yours. And then the next year she said, Santa says, oh, for heaven's sake, it's the same way you do. And so it was getting bad. I said to Helen, I better tell her. Because she knew that Santa had helpers in the mall and stuff. So she was at figure skating one Saturday, and she came home, and I said, I got to talk to you. Come up to the bedroom with me. What? She was always very curious. And I closed the door, and I said, I got a phone call while you were away. Who from? I said, Santa Claus. What did he want? Well, I said, he can't come this year to the TV party. When he asked me if I would be his helper. Well, what are you going to wear? I said, don't worry, he's sending down a suit with the gifts. And so I said, we'll be at the party. They have the film, and they have all the turkey dinner, and they have all this stuff, and the magician, and and I said, I'll be at the back. And I said, when it's time for me to leave, I'll give you a little nod, and then I'm going to slip out and get dressed. And I'll come around the other way because I have to come in with a bag of toys and snow on my feet to look like the real deal. And I said, but don't you tell your brother Todd. Okay, I won't. And I said, don't even tell Mom. This is just between you and me. Oh, okay. So
pressure.
I give her the big nod, and I left to get dressed. And I came back in, and when I called my own kids up on my knee, oh, such nice children with beautiful manners. And I'm going on. One of the guys helping me. Okay, Santa, move it along. Promoting your own kids. Anyway, on the way home, I left, goodbye, Santa Claus. They played the music, they made my playoff, and I go out and come back a little while later in my civvies. And it was time now to gather up their toys, and we'll go home. And that was before seat belts. And she was standing in the back seat, whispering in my ear, I'm driving. And she said, Dad, can I tell Mom? And I said, okay, but don't let Todd know. And she said, good, because I already did.
And Todd still doesn't know.
No.
Poor guy.
He's 48 now.
Yeah, I know. I see him walking by every day. I'm gonna tell him.
Don't tell him.
My daughter is 53.
Yeah.
And tomorrow we're 54 years married.
Wow.
Congratulations.
We met in June. We were engaged in July and married in November, all in the same year, 1971.
They did things quick back then.
I hate shopping.
Change rooms are always full.
Anyhow, I've probably gone on far too long already.
No, it's never enough.
So you started. What radio station did you start with, or did you go right out of after your trip across Canada? Did you jump?
No. Then when I came home, I got a job at the slaughterhouse in Harriston.
Oh, lovely.
Killing pigs and cattle Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then on the weekends I worked at the front at the butcher counter selling meat. And
part of the whole process.
And I got my dad's car, a 1965 Galaxy 500.
Nice.
Black, and it looked like a police car.
Yeah.
And I used to wear my militia hat, and I'd look like a cop. That was another story. And I drove around the high school in Palmerston waving at my friends who were still in there. And the principal saw me. He waved me in. He knew every kid's name. We had 1,000 people went to that high school. He knew every kid, every family. He was there for 38 years. His name was E.C. Gray. He ran the town, never mind the high school. Everybody thought the world of Eve. And he called me and he said, "What are you doing?" I told him I was working at the slaughterhouse. I'd just come back from Expo. "My God, man," he said, "that's no place for you." I said, "Well, it's warm for the winter and I got to do something." And he said, "There's a college opening up in Kitchener, Conestoga College, and they were supposed to open in September, but it's not ready till January. And there's a program down there, radio, TV, arts, no maths, no sciences."
He knew you.
He knew your weaknesses.
And he said, "That's a perfect course for you." And I said, "I'll never get in with my marks. And the fact that I don't have 12, but now I'm 20. And he said, "You're a mature student. They need students. I'll write you a letter. You'll get in." So he wrote me a letter, and I got in on probation. And I got honors for 3 years, taking what I liked. And it was funny, in high school, I was told to sit down, shut up, and wipe that stupid smile off your face. And when I got to college, they said, "Stand up, tell us another one."
And put on a smile, will you?
It was so different.
He knew
I had
exactly where he had to
this
go.
old teacher in grade 11, the second year. She said to me, "Aitchison, you're a useless, annoying, obnoxious individual. If you think you're going to amount to anything in life, forget it." And I'd say,
were
"Well,
so
could you
encouraging.
give it to me straight?" And she'd toss me out, and I'd go for a smoke. And anyway, my principal, I was the first student president. I was the first graduate of the program, of the broadcasting, and I was the first graduate of Conestoga
That's
College.
amazing.
So I have a question about that.
And then I was the first grad appointed to the Board of Governors that I sat on for 7 years. I called my continuing education.
Do you think that that job at the slaughterhouse gave you the perspective to
Absolutely.
really want to succeed at something you liked instead?
Absolutely. It was a death.
Oh, yeah.
And you're back on that cold old kill floor, scraping the hair off hogs, and they'd put them through a shaver, and then they'd flop out on a table, and you still had to shave them, and then you hook them up by the heels and cut them open and gut them, and even butchering them. They hang them upside down, and you've heard that expression, bleeding like a stuck pig. Well, that's how they hang them upside down, and the head's down here, and you wait for their waving around. Then you rip the throat open with a blade, and the blood shoots out.
Oh, my God.
And you're covered your little rubber aprons and your rubber boots, and your hands were cold. And
After that, did being on the radio ever feel like work to you?
no,
So it's funny that's your reaction, because I think that people that have had real hard beginnings, whether work or
I
life.
worked on the farm too for 6 summers.
Yeah,
making
so
hay.
you knew what work was.
And I knew what I didn't want to be when I grew
Yeah.
up. And I told a guidance counselor in grade 9 that I thought it'd be fun to be a comedy actor. And he said, "Smarten up. Now get serious." So from that time on, I didn't bother telling him, and he wasn't interested anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I told him Red Skelton was ready to retire, and my hair was the right color.
I'm ready to take his place.
And Red Skelton was one of my heroes, and I had gone and seen him perform, and later on in life I met him, and
Did you?
we were in Hawaii. He had a art gallery. He painted clowns.
Yes, he did.
And Center Art Gallery on the main drag of Waikiki, and he was in there with that, and he did some hand signing, and
No
I
way.
bought one of his clowns.
No.
$36 it cost me,
Jeez.
U.S.
U.S.
And it cost
bet
me,
you could
cost
get
me
40 for it now.
$75 to get it framed when I got home.
Yeah, I would do that. Oh,
Anyway,
man, what a keepsake. That's awesome.
He was my kind of hero in comedy, because he was family, clean, fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But it's funny. The people who are like musicians or in radio, we've had Mike on here, Mike Farwell, and Angie Hill, and
Farwell and I do the mayor's dinner now. I've done it for 35 some years hosting, but I guess they figure they're ready to help me ease out, so they brought Farwell in for the last couple of years.
Farwell needs something to do. He doesn't do enough.
And he and I are friends. I rented his grandma's cottage for 14 years.
Oh, did you?
In Port Elgin before we bought our own.
Yeah.
So I've known the Farwell family for years.
Oh, they're an incredible.
When he was a kid in college, I encouraged him to keep going, do it. And so he's a good little guy.
Yeah, there's it seems
But
there are certain things in life, and it takes people to identify outside people.
Yeah.
To identify.
But your question
capabilities.
on whether it was like work, and still I'm busy doing lots of things, and all kinds of people say, "Oh, you have that easy life. You're just having fun all the time." Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your point?
I am blessed. I'm very, very lucky. I came to this community to go to school, and I decided this is where I'm going to stay. And I got involved in lots of things, fundraisers and helping raise money for hospitals and whatever, and the homeless and the working center. And I'm a charter member of the Rotary Club of Kitchener-Westmount. My son is a member. We're the only father and son team in our club. He was a president as well. And so you got to keep encouraging to come along. But I decided this town, this community has the comfort of the country yet the convenience of the city. And
It's true.
It's a neat place to live. Every time I go to Toronto, I'm always glad I come home.
Well, and I landed here in 2000, and it was that same feeling of you've got a city, but it's got the feel of the country. And then I ended up in St. Jacobs.
Yeah.
And I've been there for almost, since 2015.
Oh, you
So I
live
run
there.
a business. Well, no, I run a business from there. I have a little cafe right in the mill.
Oh, I love that eco.
Yeah, so that's me.
Did I meet you then when we did some kind of a big promotion downtown?
Yeah, we've
St.
met a
Jacob?
couple times with the BIA and things of that nature. So
and
yeah,
and when I perform at the schoolhouse, I love running over there for
yeah, that's
soup,
us. But
the soup
but
and the sandwich.
it's one of those things where the community found me, and I found the community, and I joined the BIA, and then we were able to. We were the crew that basically succeeded the Shantz family when they exited.
I know Milo. I helped Milo put that thing going.
Yep.
I was selling radio, and Milo knew my dad because Milo used to sell Purina feed, and he had the
Correct.
turkey business. And my dad raised turkeys for a few
And
years.
unfortunately, I never met Milo. I was actually Marcus's contemporary.
Oh,
so
yes.
Marcus was the one that brought me
Marcus
to
took
St. Jacobs.
Yeah.
And so I started with the BIA when they left, and we created, we kept building community. And so when the school theater went to Drayton, it was another positive for the village to
Well,
bring it.
Milo invited us, and I knew him well. And Alex says, "Who is this Milo Shantz? He's suggesting we should open a theater in the schoolhouse." And I said, "Absolutely." And I told him who Milo was, and by then Milo and I were great friends. I went and visited him in the hospital when he was dying, even cancer of the kidney. But when I wrote their first commercial for the Stone Crock, we put horse and buggy sound effects.
I remember that.
And we did that, and he loved it, and he didn't want to, what's the word, take advantage of the old order. He wanted to respect.
They call it cultural appropriation now.
And that's it. But he liked the fact that this is St. Jacobs.
Yeah.
And he said the only mistake he made was he should have bought the whole village.
Yeah.
That's true.
Some of them wouldn't get in line with the hours and the time of day.
No, it was a tough slog. And then when Milo passed, and then Marcus was there. Marcus was doing a great job. And then,
Marcus, a bright young guy. Now he's the president of Conrad Grebel.
well, that was what changed his life. I remember having that conversation with him, and he's like, "Ed, I got the opportunity of a lifetime, and that's what I've always wanted.
Yeah.
And so I have to go." And when he left, then the uncle stepped back in for a little bit, and they sold it.
And as a parting gesture, the Shantz Family Foundation donated the schoolhouse to Drayton.
Correct.
No kidding.
And then just 2 years ago, there was a Hildebrand family in St. Jacobs phoned us, and they said, "We've sold our retirement home, and you've given us such joy here for 20-some years. We'd like to make a donation to the theater." And so Alex sent Stephen Karcher out to see them, and he came back with a check for $1 million.
And that's the
It's called the Hildebrand Schoolhouse Theater now, and they put a whole new end on one end with lobby and new washrooms. Women used to have to go to the basement and had to climb up to a one-holder. And actors had to enter through the house from the basement. Now we have we added 9 feet on the other end, so now we have a stage door entrance and a rear backstage space. And it's beautiful. I love performing there. I did a show there last Christmas called Merry and Bright. And it was an 8-week run. It sold out just like that. It was fabulous.
That's a great little theater, and I was lucky enough that we get to build a little park next to the library.
Yeah,
so that little park that we added.
That's beautiful.
That was and it was during COVID. We asked the government there was a little blurb in a newsletter, and it said there's money for restoration of community after COVID, and I was like, hey, what does it take to build a park? So I talked to our coordinator at the time, and we said, $120,000. Okay, let's ask for that. And we asked, what was the organization? I'll think of it in a minute.
Culture or something.
No, it was FedDev.
Oh, FedDev. Yeah.
So we asked FedDev for, we needed $122,000 to turn that empty lot into a little park. And we went through the process, and we were allotted the funds, and it was like, we got the money, so we built the park, and we finished the whole thing, and then the pièce de résistance, which is about the size of a turkey, is a beautiful sculpture done by
Schmaltz.
Yeah. So he did that piece. He did that piece for us. It was different because it actually was a naked woman that was laying down, and then the township's like, you can't put a naked statue in the middle of a community park. So he went and he put a shroud over her, and just her hand sticking out with some seeds. And then we planted a tree there because we talked about the concept with him, and he said, I want my children to come here later and understand why this is here. So we had a tree put in right in front of it, and so there's a symbolism there. But it was taking a piece of nothing and making something of it to leave that legacy and make sure it doesn't change.
Oh, not neat.
So we did it again. We kept talking. And before we knew it, it was over 2 hours. So what we decided to do was to break this up into 2 segments. We hope you come back next week to hear the rest of Neil's story. I can guarantee you it'll have you in stitches. Thanks for joining us.
Introducing Eco Coffee's Spotted Frog Blend, where bold leaps meet smooth landings. Why choose between light and dark when you can have the best of both? Our 50-50 blend combines the bright, fruity notes of a medium roast with the rich, velvety depth of a dark roast. It's balanced, it's bold, it's ready to jumpstart your day. With a body length of about 20 centimeters, bullfrogs are the largest frogs in North America, as well as the champion jumpers. Kind of like this coffee, big flavor, high performance, and a smooth finish every time. Spotted Frog Coffee Blend. Take the leap.